Good morning, gentlemen and ladies, and welcome to our webinar today about the input, process, and output of the happiness at work. In other terms, it's called the IPO of HAW. My name is Hussein Mbaalbaki, and I'm a happiness and development consultant. At the same time, I'm a doctorate student in the happiness and development, HR. Why happiness and development? We cannot say it's just a new trend. Actually, it is a way of life, a way of treatment nowadays, and it's little by little replacing the traditional human resources practices. What we'll be covering today, gentlemen and ladies, we will be discussing and identifying what is the happiness at work. We will interpret and distinguish the three main sources of employee happiness. And finally, we will examine and investigate the importance of leadership role in the creation, sustainability, and development of happiness at work. Any questions will be more than welcome. You can write them down in the chat room. We will have a poll that we might go through as well. In order to straight away start, before defining what is the happiness at work, actually, by showing the importance of it, you will notice that it's gaining in popularity, day after day and time after time. Harvard Business School has recently launched the Leadership and Happiness course. And with a quick look of their objectives here, you can see that they are targeting how the student will create a map, a roadmap, or a map for their own happiness. The other one is how they will learn tactics and strategies. I should be there teaching this course now. And then last one is how to lead others in a way that increases happiness. It's somehow our main objectives of the day. And even the World Happiness Report in 2021, they noted that within the workplace, happiness before the pandemic was largely due to employee sense of belonging within organization, as you can see. Now, things have changed dramatically. During the pandemic, having a supportive manager become the largest predictor of happiness, nearly twice as important as the next ranked workplace happiness factor, which is the purpose. I did this webinar exactly on the 28th of May 2020, whereby we were on the midst of the pandemic, the COVID-19. And it was quite interesting because back then we forecasted that 24 months from now, we will be over with COVID. Hopefully that's the case. Great. So in order to proceed, happiness at work and job satisfaction, it's still quite confusing for some people, though it's getting clearer and clearer. Yet happiness at work means that the balance is tipped in favor of the positive over the negative feeling. So happiness is a deep feeling of satisfaction and meaning generated by doing a good job, helping a colleague, receiving recognition for your work, and other similar everyday actions. While as job satisfaction is defined as the extent to which an employee feels self-motivated, content, and satisfied. This implies that the employee is having satisfaction as the work and as the work meets the expectation of the individual. To put it in lime word, I do consider, after now almost 3 years of researches, that happiness is a sustainable form of the satisfaction. It's a sustainable and a long-term form. In the coming quite minute that we will have together, little minutes that we have together, I'll go through some academic finding as well as some of the field and researchers' finding. In the academic finding, what I found is the following. There has been three main sources of happiness at work. It's on the macro level or the organizational level, on the micro level or the individual level, and the meso level, which is the leadership level. I have to tell you that the study was mainly in French. That's the academic part of it. So I will just, sum up some of the, and as we go, I will be welcoming the new participants. So everyone is welcome, and I will remind them to just go through the polls and, answer the questions. Now, on the macro or organizational level, of course, like most of the studies showed that one of the main reasons of the happiness at work is the organizational productivity, the gathering they do, the value, the virtue. Some even went to the religious part, to the spiritual part of it, the culture, the environment of the organization, and the social responsibility that the company or the organization shows. It might have a great impact of the happiness of work of its employee. So that's the level one, which is the macro level or the organizational level. And of course, there's the individual level, like that's the positive attitude, the traits, the personality, the spirituality, the sense of humor, the positivity, the cultural differences. I work with dozens of nationalities all over the world, and some of them, they are born. That's we hear some of our leaders say. I have some of my colleagues or employees that they are, born happy. They come at work and they are already happy. They don't need any help or any boost for that happiness. However, we will see later on that's not, like 100% true. Though the psychology, the personality type, the emotion, the spiritual level, the emotional intelligence, and the flow of the person help in the happiness, we cannot at all omit the meso level, which we will be discussing in details, and that will be the leadership level. So in the leadership level, we have plenty of, okay, I will just have some, I will let the answer later on, though I have like some interesting questions. So I will just put them on hold if you don't mind, and I will come back to the question later on. So I am about to explain or to go in details on the meso or the leadership level, the trustworthiness, the ethical leadership, the transformational leadership, the efficacy, the behaviors. You can see those are the main words that came up out of the academic researchers. You see here, there's the value, there's the equity, there's the transparency, the altruism, the the difference. Confidence is a big time there. Empowerment, interaction, listening skills. Now, for those who say, yeah, but you are putting too much on the leader's shoulder, that's true, and that's leadership, gentlemen and ladies. That's leadership, and that's the burden of leading people. The field study, however, showed us that the superiors, the compensations, and the managers, it's very similar to the academic, which is great, because most of the time we say, yeah, we study something on the books, but we cannot practice it. That wasn't my case, actually. As you can see here, like leadership and happiness, they are the main two words that were connected. The environment in general, the leadership environment, the goals, the respect, the clear goals, the outcomes, the positivity, and the support and responsibilities. One of the main things that came back is the flexibility as well. Flexibility comes from the trust that managers show or entrust his team member for. So what I was talking about here is the leadership important role of it. In the field study that I had launched with our ADIR, I have to say it, ADIR, department, or actually ADIR industry to my heart. I spent almost over a decade in the hotel industry. And that's an industry, gentlemen and ladies, that has been hit the most. We have to admit it. Before going through that, I will tell you how much this industry has suffered, and still how passionate the hotel and restaurants people are. Here I'm in Trois-Rivières, a lovely city in Quebec. And in that city, there is a main restaurant here. It's a buffet restaurant. That's a real story that happened all over the pandemic. I have to call the name of that lovely lady without mentioning the name of the restaurants. The lady's name is Lydia, and she is the manager of that restaurant. Imagine yourself, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, imagine yourself uh, leading a business for which you were requested based on the health instructions that you have to reduce your capacity to 50%. So no more customers, more than 50% of your capacity. That was one. On the second part, you were even requested, because it was a buffet. So you are not allowed to let customers go to the buffet by themselves. So in other words, you had to extend your manpower and triple it almost, because now instead of having the customers go to the buffet individually, now you have to have a chef next to each chefing dish and serve the people. So imagine that 50% of your capacity and times 3 of your manpower. And yet, when I met Lydia after they opened, after a long month, painful month of closing, when I met her, she had that great smile. I can see only her eyes. The face is covered with a mask, of course. And I told her it should be pain, like a pain in the neck, because how you guys will survive with it. And with a great smile, she said, and we are very happy to come back and serve people. We miss serving people. Hotel industry, gentlemen, I know it's about happiness, but when we talk about hotel industry, it is something that people cannot but be. So they must be passionate about the happiness. They must have the genuine smile. And all my field study were related to senior leaders and executive members of the hotel industry. What those people told us. Yes, of course, I still believe in the happiness in the hotel industry. With all due respect to any other industry, if you find that happiness during the pandemic, during the closure of your hotel, during that, I had some of my friends in certain countries that he had to stay 6 months without a salary. And he's a senior manager in that property. Other one will tell me, you are happy when you have a good boss. It's almost all about that. The other one said, we are very much happy because of our leadership treatment. They were showing great and positive attitude, which helped us survive. That's true. We cannot survive alone. You have, I recall, I think Malcolm X, who said, when we replaces the I, even illness become wellness. It's playing on the words, yet it's true. So the we, us, all together, each one helping others through the tough times, it will be easier for us to go through those special circumstances. Happiness is something that is not easy to achieve. Tell me about it. Yet, but at least let's help our team by being near them, feeling what they feel, showing some appreciation, and mainly showing respect. I will keep reading them, because in order for us to get some stories, and before like going through some of more details characteristic of the leadership that make those leaders happy and how they convey that happiness to their subordinates. Once you are happy to work, then everything is possible. And here I caught again that lady who was the general manager of that restaurant. She said, regardless, with less staff or more, the job will get done because you are happy. You trust your capability. You have happiness. Actually, I will not go like, very scientific, but the endorphin, or maybe I pronounced it wrong, but certain hormone of happiness, they will give you that special energy. And that special, if you want the glasses that you can see really through the bright side, or you see the bright side of the circumstances. Invest in your people, build career for your people. That's what makes them happy. We thought we won't survive. I love this one. The hotel is closed. The people, even I recall someone, I didn't write it here. Hospitality is all about, being close one to each other, like the warm welcome. I will not go hugging and kissing. However, tapping on the shoulders, shaking hands with kids, being so close. And unfortunately, the pandemic, it did not only gave us the social distancing. I said on last webinar, again, I will quote on the 28th of May, 2020, when we said, you know what, I was afraid not only by that the social distancing will transform to social isolation. And that's unfortunately what happened. It hit the hotel industry, and it hit the way we treat people in that industry. It hit the way the leader treats, and the leader treatment with their associate were impacted as well. So before we had those, like close relationship and close proximity, and now we don't have that. I will read two more comments of the study that I had through, and then I will give like a couple of minutes for those of you who would like to fill the poll, and I go through the chat because I might have another question that is added. Now, the last two will be guests who will survive. Only positive and survival only survive through that pandemic. So if we want to survive, we will. If we want to be successful, we will pass that together to our team. We will encourage each other today. X is in a bad mood, Zal will help him to be in a good mood. That's the lovely spirit that that's a leader, that's a senior leader who wrote that. And that's very much true. When you have that positivity, when you have that happiness, it's contagious. You can spread it around to the rest of the team. And last one, before taking just a couple of minutes to continue through and to go through the chat, as far as the management are close to the team in general, as far as the management is delivering on their promises, and as far as that message and culture is going from the general manager from top down until the last supervisor who will deliver to the employee, you will always have this kind of happiness. With that great note, I will leave those in front of you guys for those who would like to take some notes, and allow me a couple of minutes to go through the chat. Yeah, that's something that keep coming back, and I thank whoever mentioning those. That's true. We had plenty of discussion related to the contextual, cultural, and customizing the happiness and the component. That's very true. There's no, like one size fits all. No way. Not in happiness, not in leadership in general. There's no one size fits all, and there's no one treatment fits all. So, of course, depending on the culture, where you are from, what the culture is, what's the background, depending on the context. I know very much if we have any in the health field now, it's especially in Quebec, especially in Canada, that's something that is very, very, very hard at this moment. It's a tough situation there. So maybe some people tell me, what are you talking about happiness at work in that context? And we have to customize it. It should be in the DNA. That's hence the role, gentlemen. And I'm not giving the leaders, the burden to create happiness for the rest of the life. But at least when we are home, and when we are at work and we consider it at home as home, it can be a place and a time to evade, to escape the burden that we have in the day-to-day life. And I will share some stories that back then in my early days when I was a trainer in a call center, I recall someone that who told me, if you can allow me, or if you can help me get the maximum overtime hours, because actually I take the work as a place for me to escape what's going on my life these days. He had some tough times, and he found that refuge, if you want. He found that safe place, the happy place for him was the work. Hence the concentration on the happiness at work, because happiness in general is a huge topic and no one can pretend even to get close to it. And in the couple, like in 5 and 10 minutes, we'll close the webinar. However, I would like to share with you. I'll not go through them all yet. It's something that I will highly recommend, and we might even share for those who are interested. Be near I will not go through the same that we had, but thanking the team. Those are some of the specific characteristics that so far, I repeat that I'm still on my study, I still in my researches, but so far that's what I get from our leaders. Thanking them, understand the mentality, which rhyme with what we just mentioned about the culture. Connect with your team, not only by working with them, but also by feeling them. That's very important. You are one of them, at the end of the day. Feel what they feel. Listen and deal with them as a person, and not as a number, not as an employee, not as a another, excuse me for those who call it, but I hate when we call it like human capital. It makes it like an asset to manage. Keep them informed. That's very important. The basic of communication. Communication in general is a key to success, if you wish, for any leadership, especially in tough moments and in tough situations and in tough circumstances. Communicate. Show them what is expected. When you are taking your power from just your title, that's when the old school management, when you just you take power from your title. When you do that, they will start believing in you, and they will start trusting you in the way that you communicate to them. Emphasize not to interfere in their life. Building the path, respect, training, big time training. I know it wasn't easy, but I worked with some very respectful and honorable hotel chain that they did great, especially during the pandemic time. They of course they had some layoffs, they had some turn downs. However, they kept actually training and investing in their people. Meeting as often as possible. The motivation, that's the big the big title. Okay, when you know your team, work with them closely, then what will motivate Hussein, what will motivate George, what will motivate whoever, Lydia. Everyone has his own, and then we'll go back to the individualized leadership or the personal leadership. We try to be a psychologist. Sit down with our staff. That's true. And again, leadership is about dealing with people, dealing with the human, not only dealing with number. That's what makes difference between the leader and the manager, because you deal with people. That's exactly it. I will end up with a couple of do's and don'ts, and then we will let the floor for the chat, or even for some private messages, because at the end of this class we will end up with giving you some coordinations. Yes. Be with them in the field, putting your hand in the job, like lead by example. Treat them fairly and well, opportunities, support, and work with them. Don't ever, and that's not, these aren't my words. I'm just, reflecting on the research finding. Don't just sit in your office and take decisions. Don't be just the title. When you are just a manager, when you are taking your power from your title, don't allow any backbiting. And here I will come back to the conflict, and I will link it to the question that we had. If you have conflict between your team, that's very much will affect the happiness, of course, yet you can use that conflict, and maybe we need to have a conflict management webinar, because it's a big subject, but just, to sum it up, you need to deal with conflict as soon as possible. We always say, and I'm glad to be in a very democratic country like Canada, we always say that your liberty, your freedom stops when the rights of others starts. So if you are not happy, we cannot force you to be. However, if that unhappiness is affecting others, is pushing others to be disengaged or go through negative places, then we need to step out, and that's will become, you know, like a performance issue. And here, that's a performance management that should go into places. Don't only manage numbers and figures. And that's what we just mentioned. Don't treat them as human capital. If you are good in number and figures, you are a good manager. You are a great manager, or what we call in French gestionnaire, from managing. But that emotional intelligence, that huge word that needs like 5 webinars to go through, that word is the difference between management and leadership. That's what will make you the great leader, or at least the leader that at least can, you know, help and boost the happiness of work at his team. Don't run the show your way. It's not my way or the highway. It's our way. It's the way, it's the happiest way. Don't micromanage. Don't be on the top of each and every point. And don't make remarks on the smallest thing which make them feel they are being watched. And before, as I mentioned, before closing or actually going through some of the questions, I will end up with this, 1 minute manager of Professor or Dr. Ken Blanchard, who said, there's a 3 minutes for every effective manager. 1 minute goal setting, 1 minute reprimand, and 1 minute, praising. And in that, throughout the little book, it's like almost 70 pages, but it's a lovely book and a basic, yet, old is gold, as we say. He kept saying, catch people doing something right. So he gave a great example. For those of you who have kids, you don't wait for them when they start walking, when they are on the, I don't know, I have 4 of them, so it depends on when they start walking. But let's say they start walking on the, 10th month or 12th month or 1 year and so. You don't wait till they start or till they get perfectly great at walking and then you start applauding them. As a matter of fact, you even applaud them when they fall. And that's how you need to treat your employee. You need to treat them as the kids. Someone might ask, actually, yes. Actually, somehow, and in some situations, yes, you have to. So you have to catch them on their way of doing something right, on their way of doing something perfect. And don't be like a policeman who's going around and taking, notes of what's not going on well. Okay, I will read that out loud. Do you think that COVID helped the happiness at work by forcing company to realize what was taken for granted, and to force them to make changes to keep their employee during this tough time? That's very interesting question. As a matter of fact, we cover some of that question. However, we can go back to it. The COVID-19 has proven that happiness at work is now a must, and even the UN report, the UN has already created a day of happiness, which happened to be in March actually, and they emphasize more on that happiness importance, and especially the role importance. Now, out of the 3 level, the macro, micro, and meso level, I will quote the Gallup organization. For those of you who work with the engagement surveys, and like engagement surveys or satisfaction surveys, or soon enough it will be the happiness survey. Gallup International is an organization that did engagement survey for, I can tell, over 10 million people now till that time. I have been working with them since 2004 actually. So they say that 80%, and hear me well, ladies and gentlemen, 80% of employees, they don't leave organization, they leave supervisor. 80%. Leaving just 20 for any other reason. It's all about the relationship with your leader. It's all about the relationship with the leadership in general. So you cannot tell we are a happy organization. We welcome openness. We welcome new ideas. And at the end of the day, what's going on? It's my way or the highway. I kid you not. I work in the hotel industry with one of the chefs. I hope he will see that one day and he remember himself. And he had on the top of his, on the top of his office when you enter it, though he was, I will not mention the nationality in order not to offend anyone, but he said you enter to the chef with your own ideas. No, you are welcome to enter to the chef with your own idea as far as you go out with his. So that's the autocratic leadership. That sometimes have to be right. If you have, if you are, a three Michelin guide chef, and you need your steak to be 110% right. However, there's still room for interaction. There's still room for human interaction, and that's what COVID. Coming back to the question, that's what COVID has proven us. There's no way that we can live alone. There's no way that we can run the rest of the life working from home. There's no way that we still having that social distancing. Hence, hopefully the end of considering it as the end of the world and start living with it, going back to the human part of it. On that note, thank you for the comment. I'm glad that it helped. The webinar will be online, of course, and you are more than welcome to always contact whether setim.com or ccrhre.com as well for further questions. Have yourself a happy and a prosperful 2022, though the first quarter is over. Stay safe, stay happy, have a great day.